We're here.
Welcome, everyone, to the best asterisk world WARCRY podcast on YouTube, Twitch. Not Twitch. We're not on Twitch. We're on Spotify.
The world is
In
what
the world.
those are the words you're looking for.
Ever. There'll never be a bigger one. Never be a better one.
That would be so very, very sad.
A little bit.
Yes, no, welcome. I'm Lord Phylax from WARCRY UK. With me, as always, I have the wonderful War Games on Toast.
Hello, it's me, War Games on Toast.
And the wonderful of Meta Musings.
Hello.
That's an interesting thing on your hand there. What is that?
Well, I don't know. I woke up one morning and found out it was around my neck, and it turns out I went to sleep with it. I don't know why.
Wow.
I am enjoying that my position in all of this seems to be the enabler.
Giving us medals.
Yeah, just kind of making events for you to win. Which I feel like I'm left out. I feel like this relationship isn't reciprocating.
I feel that it's an extremely fair and valid relationship, Dimitrios, and that I don't think you have anything to worry about. So I'll take more of it.
So if Off Meta is the reigning wins everything champion, okay?
You don't win everything.
Just about, almost.
I didn't win one event this year, and I came second in an event where I won all my games.
That's true. Speaking of that event, I won that event.
You did win that event.
And that was the last event Games Workshop's done for WARCRY, so I'm the forever champion of Warhammer World. And Phylax is the largest WARCRY tournament organizer in the UK.
Yeah,
we're all amazing.
I will say that I am very happy that up until now that was by default. However, I do love that I'm starting to get competition. I do love that there's more events, and the whole point of me doing events was to get more events going. But in the meantime, I will enjoy the title.
And with more events happening, you might also successfully come in third to all of them.
Great.
I think it's very interesting. What's happening here, because not even is it out like publicly? Because I know that it's out for your video is out for subscribers.
Oh,
but I don't know if it's properly out.
The video that is unintentionally just me ripping on all of your games.
I need to make it very, very clear. I am so happy.
This is how to win more WARCRY, right?
How to win more WARCRY, which is it's an incredible video. It's what everyone needs, because it's a video that is covering something that people ignore all too often, which is like lists are great, and knowing your list and knowing your opponent's list and all of the little kind of like theoretical things. But there's so much in WARCRY about actually playing your list on the map that you have. And that's not the case when you have like a barren field where everyone can do everything. But if you have terrain dense boards, as you should, suddenly playing the field gives you such an advantage. And that would be such a wonderful video that I could enjoy if it wasn't just dunking on me and my wife for the 15 minutes.
The first one was actually Jess. I forgot about that.
It was interesting. I mean, they were all really good examples.
They were great examples. It was unintentional, because I wrote the script. I was like, oh, that's a really good example. And then I realized after the fact, oh, that's Jess, Phylax, and also Phylax again. Oops.
I will take it as the compliment that it is, because it's just that all of our games are memorable. So
they were very memorable. They were fantastic games as well. Because it was Warhammer World, a game on stream that was really fun. and wrote to find Edinburgh against Jess, which was a fantastic game because it was terrifying running Dragon Ogres into Star Soul Maces. And that was a puzzle to solve. So it was a good time.
It always is. That's why I bring Jess with it, because it's really interesting. If she is free and I need an extra player, I will kind of tempt her over, and I will give her Star Soul Maces, because that kind of like balances it out. Because Jess hasn't played a lot of games, so it's a bit like giving an RPG to a child. It's not the most effective, but it is very fun. But also, I have started having to stop her from playing that list because she is getting better. So I'm
just
like,
just becoming too powerful.
Well, yeah. We have to take the weapon, the nuke away now that you found the button.
Next list is triple Gutlord. Here we go, boys.
I only have one tyrant. Don't do this to me.
Put one tyrant. It's fine.
We can adjust it. We have the technology. Definitely have the bits. Awesome. Right. So I will pull up. We have an agenda like the professionals we are.
We do. One of the only times we have an agenda, and we don't just like kind of wing it.
No, not the last one, but I think the one before. I try, but I fail. So, well, yeah.
It's taken 8 episodes, but we've finally got like some degree of professionalism on the podcast.
No one comes to this podcast because of the professionality, right?
That's part of our appeal, surely.
Yeah, it's the fact that we're rough and ready and authentic is a good word.
That's the one.
Showing our true selves.
Exactly. So yeah, let's start with LGT.
Yes, that was a thing we went to, but you did.
Yeah, me and Badger came down on the train with 20 tables of terrain on a little trolley, and then we somehow stuffed it in your car.
In my car.
And we made it to London.
You might have been sitting in my daughter's car seat because she's like 4, and you had to sit in that because the rest of the space was taken up in terrain, and that was all good.
Hey, listen, nothing broke.
Nothing broke.
So I'll take the success there. I took the overnight bus back. And I had no issues, which I was very happy about. But it was good.
How long does that take to bus from London to Glasgow?
So I left at 10:30 at night, and I got to Glasgow at 9:30 in the morning.
Wow, it's crazy.
It's a bus. It was mostly uncomfortable, and but I got 2 seats, and I got all of the reason I traveled with the company I traveled is because you could book irregular sized luggage. And I showed up, and they went, "Please tell me you've booked the extras." And I was like, yes, I wouldn't do this to you. So it did mean that I was at home and crashing first thing in the morning, so that I could catch up on sleep, because that was the Sunday that the good friend of the podcast, Girth Demon, was over in Edinburgh. So I'll send you the picture so you can put it on the chat. But I met up with Rob and Kit of TTS fame, and we had a wonderful evening. They loved Edinburgh, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Rob come back soon. But that's Scotland for you.
It's a good place.
But yeah, no, it was very fun. It was a very smooth experience. Everyone from UKTC was incredible. They really helped us out and set us up for success. We had a wonderful bit of we had a lot of like socializing and a lot of connecting and talking to other people and kind of industry people, which was nice. And we had a lovely tournament as well. So as in, the games were incredible. The war bands were excellent. The quality of the best painted was up there. Ennis had an entire Kiss Dark Oath warband, which again I'll send you the pictures for the.
That sounds amazing.
Lighting and...
It was incredible. It was a full. All of that is on the website, but it was a custom converted Dark Oath War Queen. Well, I say custom converted. Basically, he wanted to give her the tongue, so he sculpted the tongue on the War Queen.
I love it.
And then every one of the Dark Oath were like had face paint, and Ennis had an entire stage with an airbrush back and everything. It was incredible. I think it came second, either second or third on the painting competition.
That's some stiff competition, because that sounds amazing.
No, it was excellent. It was excellent. First was the Trog Herd, which was like all the Trogs. It was a dank hold and two bio trolls that were stand-ins for
trolls.
Yeah, but it was and Molog, I think. So it was basically like 4 Trogs. And it was Alan that painted them. And he was like, I've spent so much time on this. Like, okay, fair. And it was recognized because it was excellently painted. And then I think either second or third place was it was a new player with Seraphon.
Yes, the guy I played in round 1, 2. That guy with the Croxagore and like Crowjacks.
Yes. Yeah. I'm finding the name. It was Sam. It was Sam with the Seraphon. Was also third on the tournament. So yeah.
I feel like
the new Seraphon sculpts are all beautiful. Like they've not. I always liked the old Lizardmen stuff, but it was getting dated, right? It was very old. But the new like Saurus, new Croxagore and stuff, they're stunning. They're such good sculpts.
Yeah.
I feel like for people not in the UK who might not know what the LGT is, yes, a quick word about that. So it's the largest tournament basically run in the UK. It's not just Warhammer based stuff. There are like all sorts of game systems represented there. But to give you an idea of the scale, there were 1,200 40k players there.
Wow.
There were 1,200 40k players. There were 100 Age of Sigmar players, 100 Kill Team players. But yeah, 40k was like by and far the largest event. Apparently, an interesting fact was if you took just the Khorne players who played Khorne, is it Khorne Marines, whatever they are, in 40k. Just those players, and they were their own tournament. They would have been the second biggest event at that event.
That is hilarious. That's so funny.
That's wild.
Not including the rest of the Warhammer 40k.
I think people within the hobby, like who play Warcry or smaller games that aren't Games Workshop based, sometimes just underestimate the sheer scope that is 40k specifically. Age of Sigmar's big. It's nowhere near as big. Like 40k is just all-encompassingly ginormous. It's hilarious that's a stat that like just World Eater players is the second largest group of players in the whole tournament. Like across the whole event. Sorry, it's hilarious.
Even if players do play other games, they're normally secondary games to 40k, right?
Yeah.
And the statistic that I always see from like sales data and that kind of thing from like third-party stores is that it's 40k number 1, Age of Sigmar is about 1/10 of the size of 40k, which seems to make sense, right? If there were 1,200 40k players, or around about 100 Age of Sigmar players. Kill Team is again about that size, like 1/10 the size of 40k. WARCRY we know is about 1/10 the size of Age of Sigmar, but more so because ours was big in terms of this event. Ours was bigger, but in terms of like sales and like just a general feeling of how big the game systems are. And you can't compare anything to 40k. Basically, is the long and the
No.
short of it, because it is by far the market leader, like 70% plus of the entire market share of miniature war games. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so LGT, like if you're running an event for any kind of game system and you feel like you want to give it like gravitas and kudos, try and get it in the LGT, because that's like, it's like a big event, right, where there are lots of things going on. And more importantly, the actual Games Workshop guys who run events, the events team, were there because they support LGT for 40k and for Age of Sigmar, because for World Championships of Warhammer and that kind of thing, it's a golden ticket event because it's huge.
That's exactly it, and that was the opportunity that we had to go and chat to them about WARCRY, which we did.
We had secret talks.
Well, I mean, they weren't particularly secret. The room had glass doors
with like 1,000 people.
but no, it was really nice to talk to some of the people from the global events team, and it was really nice to kind of remind them that there are that War Tally exists and all of our tournaments are there.
Well, that's actually a very important point, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dimitri, I feel like I'm cutting you off. Do you want to explain it?
No. Feel free to jump in.
So it's not a secret that Games Workshop own BCP, and Best Coast Pairings is where they get a lot of their information about how many events are running and who's going to events and what's going on. And BCP is wholly ineffective for WARCRY because, like, right at the beginning, it didn't handle WARCRY's scoring system with like majors and minors. Now, I know like there are very few events that use majors and minors nowadays, but kind of because of that, we made War Tally, and it's geared towards how WARCRY works and WARCRY events, and it's really good, and it properly works. So because of that, you don't get many WARCRY events on BCP, and because of that, Games Workshop literally has no visibility on any WARCRY events going on at all, or like a very low line, because they're not watching it, right? They're not watching it properly.
They did say that they keep an eye on other things. I just don't know.
Yeah, War Tally was not one of those.
Yeah, I know that Trolls has gotten in touch in the past, and with BCP, and you know, it's a big testament to how good he's made War Tally, that there are, you know, several pages now of event, 167 pages of events. That's hundreds of events up there. So it was nice to just remind them of the fact that there are other better tools. And of course, the line was, let us know how we can improve our tools so that you can use our tools. Which, you know, possibly, but also, like, after a certain point, you have like a brand loyalty that you don't really want to get out the way. But it is something that I am considering, just making duplicates and like importing the events onto BCP to just make it clear and show that it exists, because some places will do BCP events for WARCRY, but not nearly as much. Like, it's not getting used nearly as much, and it was just nice to be able to be like, hey, we exist, because it was near the end of the the presentation. They were like, you know, opening up to questions, and said something like, hey, I'm one of the like 3 people you have registered online as an approved tournament organizer for WARCRY. And they were like, sounds about right. So, you know, I think we did a good bit of waving waving the flag
A bit of PR.
for WARCRY. So
Yeah.
we got a lot of interest. We got a lot of people interested.
How many people actually went to the WARCRY event? Because I didn't go. I wasn't there.
18. Yeah, we had 18 players in the end. I had
Beautiful.
no dropouts. And I think a good third was new players. So there is.
We see that a lot, right? There's at Storm in the South in Southampton, right? There was a whole bunch of new players there as well. I suspect that WARCRY in the West will have a lot of new players there. UK Games Expo had a whole bunch of new players. It's got this like new blood coming into the hobby. Despite the game not being massively well supported, right? It's still getting new players in all the time.
I think one of the problems that we had, because I was speaking to the Kill Team guys specifically, and it turns out that a bunch of them played WARCRY as well, but they made very valid points. They were like, okay, well, WARCRY is not my primary game, and when we're gonna go to something like LGT, and they're going to offer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Horus Heresy, all the things. The question then becomes, okay, how many of those players who do play WARCRY would go specifically to a WARCRY event and not play in those other invariably bigger games? Well, I mean, not Old World wasn't that big, if I remember. They had like 20 people or something, but you get me, right? If there are events going on, and especially like golden ticket events to get you to the World Championships of Warhammer, which Kill Team was, 40k was, Age of Sigmar was, how do you get people who are playing WARCRY to go to say, okay, well, I'm going to go to the WARCRY event instead of going to Kill Team?
So this goes hand in hand with something that this year has really kind of brought up to me. And it's the usual, like, is this a narrative game? Is this a narrative tournament? Or is this a match play? Or is this competitive? Like, where are we going with this? Because last year we had Tabletop Scotland. I think it was my only round of events. It was the Road to Tabletop Scotland last year, and then Tabletop Scotland itself, which was a single event. So that was 3 tournaments last year. And then this year we were up to 6. And 7. Because we had Narrative Competitive, a UK Games Expo, we had the 2 Road to Defiant event, and then we had Narrative Competitive at Tabletop Scotland, and then we had LGT. And I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that with the Bristol event and the Nottingham event in the next couple of months, I think that leaves us at almost a tournament a month, almost, which is an increase on last year. And now with UKTC being, someone we can work and collaborate with and put more tournaments on, it kind of brings a question of how do we want to proceed? Because for this one, even though it was LGT, and LGT is basically like the last big competitive event of the year for a lot of these games, I went with a first event that was a lot more themed. It was a lot more, I wouldn't call it narrative, because it was a competitive event. It was a match play event. But it had a very strong theme, and that was Lord of the 8 Points as a wrestling style title. I mean, when this tournament comes out, when this podcast comes out, Lord of the 8 Points should be underneath like a title, because that's yours now until next year.
You need to get a commission, like an actual wrestling belt,
like an actual wrestling belt.
every year.
I would love that. Yeah, I mean, that's the idea, is that like it depends very much on what there is appetite for. If the appetite is in the community for us to move towards like more competitive events, great. But it very much feels that it's somewhere in the middle. And this pack had a very heavy skew. This pack was very much
Very
kill
smashy.
missions, very smashy. Even the objective missions, it was the one that had the secondary of like getting more points depending on how many things you killed. And we kind of saw that in the list building, and we're going to talk about that later. But I think the combination of the event being a very competitive event, but also the fact that the pack was very skewed, I think kept our numbers a bit lower. But it's figuring out kind of where we want to go, what the community wants, and giving them those kind of events. So for the next year, I think making those separate and having a circuit for competitive play, which I know will have lower numbers, and then having kind of more intro friendly, new player friendly tournaments that have narrative of kind of narrative a narrative flair to them. It's still going to be match play rules, and it's going to be relatively balanced. And as a tournament, it's going to be pretty tournamenty, if you will. But it's going to be a lot easier for someone to come along without thinking that they have to grind a bunch of reps and bring something really sharp. So I think that's the lesson that I got from this. But we'll see. There's a lot of potential next year. I'm not doing any fewer events, so it's going to be interesting.
I'll tell Mrs. Toast that I'm going to be gone half the year again, traveling to Scotland endlessly.
You can definitely tell her that I'm going to space them out a little bit so that you're not here every other week, which I don't mind, but...
I don't mind. She might mind. I don't mind, though.
No, I think it's a good idea, right? Because I've always wondered, how do you capture, like, we know that the competitive Warcry scene is like, on a generous day, probably 40% of the player base, like, who would play. I'm not saying anyone who would play competitively, right? It's like, I'm talking about match play players, whether they come to events or not. I'm saying generously 40% of the player base, because that's just what my polling showed. So my question has always been, how do you capture that remaining 60-70%, however much it is? And I think dressing up, it's a good idea to, if you would dress up a match play event in a narrative story, I think that might be the way to do it. And we've been talking about a whole bunch of different things, how you would do it, right? And it might be like, okay, here is when you register for the event, you register for one of the Grand Alliances, so you're basically in 4 teams, and then you've already chosen which missions you're going to play anyway, just like a match play event. But the idea might be that if you have a selection of 6 missions, the mission that you play next might change depending on which Grand Alliance won.
Okay.
And then that would carry on, right? But it would have like story progression. So the first one might be objectives, because you're on the edges of the Gnarlwood and you have to capture all these points. And the last game might always be like a kill mission, because now you're in the middle of the Gnarlwood and you're fighting over the ruins of Talaxis. But all of the stuff in between, there's a lot of like wiggle room for what it could be. And you can come up with whatever story beats that you would want to in order to get there. And I think if you dressed it up in that way, I think it does make it a lot more, I don't want to say casual player friendly, because I don't like using the term, you're a casual player, but like, I think it makes it a lot more friendly for those kind of players who otherwise wouldn't go to a proper match play event, even though what it is in reality is it is a match play event, but it's got a story going.
Approachable. Approachable, I think, is the word, and I know exactly what you mean, because that's one of the things. One of the things that immediately came to mind when you said how much bigger the 40K crowd is. Immediately my thoughts went, well, great, because it's all the burnt out 40K players that we end up getting. Like I keep joking that I'm running a daycare for dads, and I actually love it. But no, like, a lot of our players come from other systems in the same Warhammer family, and they are used to that kind of very clear distinction between competitive and non-competitive, and the thing is, it's a false dichotomy in our space, because for the UK scene, even though people will come through with very sharp lists sometimes, it's still, the vibe is completely different to what you'd expect from, people kind of having like arguments and, kind of trying to bend the rules and things like that. I can tell you for a fact that LGT, I was asked over maybe 3 times the entire time, and that was for clarification rather than someone, like, a difference in how something was um, um kind of seen, interpreted from each side. It wasn't 2 people saying, "Oh, I think A, I think B." It was, "Hey, we think that this is the way to play it, but we just wanted to double check." Which, love it, fantastic. If I'm going there and you already have a solution, makes my job easier. But yeah, what I mean to say is, like even on the top tables, at the end of the day, it's still a very collaborative and very, like, pleasant back and forth. So what we're fighting with is the perception rather than the reality, because I get a lot of repeat customers. I get a lot of people who will come back and they enjoy things, and it's even people who I see them twice a year. And they only show up at the events, and they don't generally play, but they love the community and they love the kind of the vibes that the events have. But the name of the game going forward is exactly part of what you identified, which is player agency. Because, frankly, I'm sick and tired of carrying coins around and flipping for it. And second is kind of giving players a little bit of a leg up, like those narrative events having a little bit of a more helpful way to balance things. Because when we did the Tabletop Scotland narrative of Ash and Memory, it had a very great way of, like, drawing you in. Because right at the start, you were told your warband's dead. The only thing you're trying to do is preserve a memory. So you pick what that core of the memory is, and immediately, like, you have something that you're fighting for that is written down and it's in your player pack. And that kind of gets you invested in your games that little bit more. And also the fact that in round 2 and 3, if you had lost the game, you were getting an artifact, which means that it would help you a little bit, because the lists were very clear. Like, we had some, corn demons. Like, yeah, they need help. Here you go. I'll give you an artifact when you start.
There was multiple corn demons in that.
There were 2 lists,
event.
yes.
I love it. Like, it's so cool to see.
One of them was a 5-man list, corn demons. It was 3 leaders.
Surely.
3 leaders and 3 leaders, a cavalry, and a dog, I think.
Right.
Which, again, new player did like struggled in the games, but came through at the end and was like, that was a blast. I'm like, that's exactly it. That was the goal of the game, because you will always have some people that will get to the end and like someone has to lose, right? But as long as it's not an unpleasant experience, then
I think
that's what's going to
it's
bring you
like
back.
the first hurdle anyone who goes to, and even a narrative event, right? But competitive, narrative, whatever, is the first hurdle if you are new to that is getting over the hurdle that you are not likely to actually win the whole event, and that, like, you know, I've said before, like, it's setting like a criteria for success, like what you would consider to be successful, and that in your first event, just going to the event, having a good time. Right? Don't put all these expectations or this weight or extra pressure on yourself. I have to win every game.
Yeah.
Nah, man, lose all four and absolutely vibe with it. But like, it's unlikely you'll do that, right? You'll probably get a win somewhere. Aim for that one win. Aim for a draw. Right? Play your best game of WARCRY, whatever you want to do. But the first hurdle is just taking that first step. And every time, there was so many people at UK Gamers Expo specifically that came up to me and to you, Phylax. I assume over to Meta as well. Just saying, like, this was like, oh, this is my first ever tournament, and like I was encouraged to go just by wild dice talking about go to tournaments. They're really fun, and they're not massively serious, and that's like so heartwarming. It's like people should do that more. It's like, take that first step, get into the swing of it, and go, this actually isn't massively stressful. It's not like full of sweaty nerds. If they are sweating, it's because it's really hot in hot in the building, right?
Sure, I mean, we are of a certain age.
Yeah, like it's a great time, and I think if there was more of a narrative slant to it all, I think that's a really good way of getting people through that door, over that first hurdle into the whole thing. Oh well, actually, this was really fun. Maybe I'll go at the match play one and the narrative next time and see what it's all about. Have a good time.
100%. I do need to give a little shout out as well to Badger, because
Yes,
I couldn't have done it without him and his missions, and it's really it was excellent missions, and also the fact that we're working on so much more stuff, and being able to have missions in house that are designed specifically for the event and the type of event. So, what do we want? We want this and this and this. Is making me really, really excited for next year. But it all happened. As the two of you know, I am terrible at mission design and reading. I just don't like deployments and specific like ranges and stuff like that. Like, just it doesn't work. I just go unga bunga and I go in. And I've been so lucky to have Badger, who is excellent, is an excellent designer, and really like has that kind of keen eye for making a mission that is balanced but also fun. So yeah, just a little shout out, and to say that I'm looking forward to us doing a lot more things coming up.
I'm looking forward to it. I thoroughly enjoyed all of Badger's missions at the Tabletop Scotland and the road to that. They were wonderful. So much fun to play.
I mean, on that, the Defiant pack has been updated because we are running the Tabletop Simulator Worldwide League. So that's the original WarCry. But the missions have been zhuzhed up, and we employed the help of some heavy duty playtesters. So what I mean is, we gave them to Rob, and he played them 47,000 times.
I'll do it.
We got a lot of feedback, and there was a lot of adjustment. So the pack has been re-uploaded, and if you're looking to try out a tournament from the comfort of your own home, at potentially completely unsociable hours, given, uh, 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 have a look at word tally. The event is up. Join the Discord, the WARCRY Discord from Reddit. I have all the links in the tournament pack. But yeah, we're gonna be doing a tournament in November, and it's basically every week you get a full week to get some time with your opponent, sit, play your game on Tabletop Simulator, log the results, and then we do a game every week for 4 weeks, and then at the end of that, the tournament's finished. It is quite sharp. There's a lot of really good players because it is a global tournament, but it's very fun, and it's what I credit with a lot of my improvement in playing the game was getting thrown around in the TTS tournament. So yeah, obviously links and all that down below.
I'll put the links down below. And whilst that was happening, live during the recording, I've just signed up to it myself. So
hey.
I will likely be there, unless I forget. But I've signed up to it. We're ready to go.
Wonderful. I need to sign in myself because that's one of the good things. Is
you can do it. You can play as well.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be good. I need to decide though what I'm playing. And I wonder if we're gonna have a bunch of dank holds in this again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dank holds in LGT.
Yes. Many.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. Because they are really good, right? They are obviously really good. And it's opened the doors to monsters and stuff, but it hasn't really.
It's opened the doors to
one monster.
Just one. Yeah.
There's been like a little bit of experimentation with other things. Oh, there's other monsters too. It's like, but actually, this is the only one we want to play with. It's also interesting as well that monsters are banned everywhere until a really good one comes around, and that ban gets soft dropped temporarily, so everyone can have fun, and then ban them again later on. Give it time.
In my events, monsters have very rarely been banned. I think the only event that I actually banned monsters for was the narrative at Tabletop Scotland. And I have consistently had at least one. Because I know someone brought a Hydra with a bunch of Hunters of Huanchi.
I played actually a bunch of slam because I totally played against the Hydra with a bunch of slam.
Ishmael was playing his double slan and Hydra list, and did it both LGT and the Storm in the South. Yeah.
Yes. And I believe it was Joe ran. I think it was Joe who ran Hunters for Huanchi.
Yeah, I think
and the Hydra, and did pretty well with it as well. And that was before the dank hold changes, of course. Hydra's really good.
So people bring them, and it's not that much of a problem. I know that at the Warhammer World events as well, we've had giants, and we've had hydras, and we've had
the odd Gorgon, I think, once.
Yeah, and the other one was the chaos one, the Mutilith. And some of us have played all of them on the same tournament.
I think I've done two. I've done it was a giant and a Mutilith in one event. I think I did three.
Giant and Chimera.
Oh, you got Chimera. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, I have played against chat. I have played against zero monsters at any Warhammer World events, and I plan to continue that way. I will continue being lucky. Thank you very much.
Well, I think the trick is just to punch them till they die. It's fine.
Punch them until they die for me.
Just take a big thing and punch them till they die easy enough.
But no, I think that this topic leads really nicely into the next thing that I wanted to talk about specifically.
Cunning segues.
Yeah. Because a monster is one of those things where, if you're not prepared for it, or you haven't had practice against it, or you're like a softer kind of player or a newer player, for example, who might not have that experience either in list building or in just raw gameplay against them. It's one of those fighters that is like insurmountable, basically.
Yeah.
They dictate games. I mean, they always dictate games regardless of who it is you're playing against, because it's a monster and a monster has its own specific playstyle, so it will dictate games. But if at least if you have the experience, you are able to play around a monster, right? And yeah, sure, it's
Yeah.
dictating the game, but you're able to adjust and do whatever. And there are a bunch of fighters in Warcry that can do that. I would say something like a Gutlord, something like a Blessed Machine Gun Slan, if you don't know what you're doing against it.
A clawback kind
A
of
clawback, yeah, even
cripple or
something
kill
simple
one.
like a clawback or
Yeah.
whatever. There are several of these pieces that regularly show up in the top end of list building, that are almost impossible for new players or less experienced players to play against.
Yeah.
But they're not broken, because if you know what you're doing, you can play around them. So
Yeah.
my question is for that, and that this is why it follows on with monsters, because they're kind of in the same boat. Is and we've been talking about events and how to make events more friendly towards people. You can ban monsters, which is a whole category of fighter in itself, but you can't turn around and say, okay, I'm going to ban a Gutlord, I'm going to ban a Clawback, I'm going to ban all these things, because there are,
Yeah.
I don't know, 30, 40 fighters that fall into that category. And once you take that out, we talk about where the power level of different warbands are, that kind of thing. So I've been putting a lot of thought into how to kind of round that peg. I think that's the right term.
Yeah.
Where that peg, round that peg, whatever. As to like how to encourage players to go into these events where there might be some kind of spiky lists, but still kind of have a good time about it. Because there's definitely a perception in match play Warcry that it is basically just full of, that top 1% of list building. And it's basically not that's not my experience at all. My experience has always been maybe 20% of the players are actually there, like to win, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. But even in an event that's like 40 people, for example, the top 20% of players is 8 players, which is basically nothing in terms of the amount of players that you're going to play over over that event. And it may well be that, yeah, you come against it in the first round, but then after that, that's basically it. It's highly unlikely you'll fight one of these. But there's this constant fight of match play perception versus what you'll actually come up against, and I find that difficult to try and explain away. I'm kind of rambling because it's a very wide ranging topic.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Like
one of
the
these
top
things.
1% of Warcry. Here we go. The top
Yeah.
1% of Warcry is basically a different game from the remaining 99%, because the way you list build in the top 1% of Warcry is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say that there's specific things. So I would assume that it's similar in games like AOS and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But certain types of enemy have to be treated in a specific way. And you have to play a specific way, because the thing with Warcry is you don't have access to all the tools. You don't always have something that turns off crits, something that stops range from firing, something that you don't always have nets, you don't always have this, you don't always have that. So you need to have actual in-game ways of stopping something that needs to be stopped. And there are things that need to be stopped. A monster needs to be stopped. A gut lord needs to be stopped. A slan at a vantage point needs to be engaged. You don't always have what you need directly, so you need to work with what you have, and that's part of list building is building lists that have more tools. And a big part of it is playing with what you have and using like movement, engagement, and terrain, like post video, very well put across, on using that to your advantage to stop your opponent from doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's two bits there. I think there's two ways, because that's an information problem, right? There's some information that can be put in front of you. So one of the things that I am working towards is, because I'm going to continue having monsters open, right? And my experience from that weekend is that monsters would have been absolutely fine if it wasn't for Dragon Maul.
Yeah,
Dragon Maul
the same old
was
question, yeah.
Specifically, and that's feedback that I've emailed in to the FAQ stuff, because the main problem, like, monsters are absolutely fine to play around, except for Dragon Maul. Because Dragon Maul basically creates this reach of 6 inches around the monster where it can just get you. There's nothing you can do.
And you've still got then factor in the monster's base size as well, because it's 6 inches that way, but then you've got this like massive base then 6 inches that it covers like half the fucking board.
100%.
It's humongous. It's huge.
And on top of that, Dragon Maul does damage in itself, right? So when you're thinking about a monster, you're like, oh, it has 3 separate actions, and if it's not in base contact, it's not going to be able to do a move attack action. But what it can do is move Dragon Maul, kill a thing. You know?
It also means that you never have an incentive to work towards something else, like Demolishing Rampage, which is an incredible ability. But on the other hand, there's things like, no one knows there's monster hunting abilities. No one knows that you can use a double and roll a bunch of dice and subtract from the monster's move characteristic until the end of the battle. And that's a double.
That's the only good one, though. The rest are terrible.
Well, I disagree, because if you get a double and a quad, right? You get one of you guys to what is it? You get one of you guys to do binding ropes, bring down the move, right? And then you use a quad on something that flies or runs fast. You taunt the monster, right? Because you rolled a number of dice equal to the value of the ability. If a 4+ is rolled on any of the dice, so you need just a 4+ on a bunch of dice.
A decently high quad, though, for that, right? So it's you're asking for a double.
You can do a quad.
A high double to get a reliable movement debuff, and then a high-ish quad to get a reliable drop of this.
You got Dimitri's a Rube Goldberg machine. That's like all the bits falling into place.
A double is easy to make. The quad is the more difficult one. But also on one die, that's a 50-50, right? So on 2 dice, it's probably better.
Well, so the upside is that anyone can use the ability, right? So you can put a throwaway fighter into range of the monster, throw the nets, and then you're basically telling the monster you're going to use one of your 3 actions in order to kill this thing.
That's the thing. If you get a quad round 1, you can do the taunt and run across the board, right? You're out. You're gone.
Does the taunt last all game?
Until the end of the battle round, or until this fighter is taken down. So as long as that guy's alive...
Okay, but still the end of the battle round, though, right? So it's like, once it wears off, you kind of...
I
thought it was...
Like, I mean, thinking about events and how this kind of thing is run, you know what you could do? Genuinely. You could put the universal actions on a piece of paper on the table for everybody.
Well, that's the idea, yeah.
Because, like, I know that there are monster hunting abilities. I couldn't tell you what they do. Like, you telling me this is, like, the first, like, because I just haven't...
I did the exact same. I was going around, and on the tables, I was like, remember your universal monster hunting abilities. And people were like...
The triple is actually arguably one of the worst abilities I've ever read in my entire life.
Oh,
the triple is truly god-awful.
Yeah.
You are wasting dice even trying to do it.
Yeah.
But also importantly as well, I've caught people at Warhammer World doing this. Monsters don't have access to universal abilities,
Yes,
so
that's correct.
it's often forgotten about that they can't onslaught, being the big one. Don't let them onslaught. It's not a thing they can do. It's
Really?
fairly it's happened a few times, but no, you can't actually do that. Like, really, I had no idea. It's just because monsters aren't used that often, and also not played against it often, so it's easy to forget and then slip it through by accident, right? It's one of those weird little things. But I think one of the things was Dragon Maul specifically, and I mentioned this in passing in my video that'll be out this week from recording, but last week from viewing this video, is that monsters don't apply to that video at all, because that video is about terrain, and monsters don't give a shit, because Dragon Maul is a placement. If it was an actual pull with all the restrictions of pulls, it would be far less oppressive. As a placement, it bypasses every other means of balancing powerful things with terrain. I'm just going to play from over here and yonk you halfway across the board and then beat you to death. It's very silly. It's very, very silly.
Yeah. It's so difficult when you have such a big model, and especially something like a Chimera that has like a tail going straight up. It's so difficult to truly completely break line of sight, like completely, like fully. Especially because your favorite bit is terrain, that you were talking about in the video about terrain. Has specifically, I hid behind it, and the tail could still see me, so I got dragged and mauled, and I was very salty for a long time. Shout out to Armor Enthusiast for doing that. Thanks, Mike.
I remember, right? I remember in like 5th edition 40k when they started to have more and more big models, like things with huge wings. And they specifically ruled that you couldn't draw line of sight from wings or to wings.
No.
To stop people shooting their evil death lasers from the very tip of a wing that sticks out like 6 inches that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it had to be to the body of the model. So if you had a big old sword sticking up high in the air, that wouldn't count.
Yeah.
Yep. Where'd those rules go? Why can my Chimera shoot you with Dragon Maul with its Dragon Maul laser from its tail? That's crazy.
Wow. What do you mean you can't? You can shoot from the top of your flag.
Hey, the extra height that a Slan Starmaster gets, you can see everything.
One of the few that I'm like, yeah, fair.
Honestly, though, right, when it comes to Dancold specifically, just to bring back to Dancold temporarily, right, the Dancold, if Dragon Maul was fixed, which can be fixed in an FAQ, it could also be fixed in a tournament pack. You could just make an adjustment to Dragon Maul in a tournament pack specifically. Yeah. It's not the best thing to do, but it's a possibility, right? But with the Dancold with a nerfed Dragon Maul, whether it's taken to a quad, you nerf its pull, it's a place to a pull, whatever you do with it. The Dancold's actually completely fine, right?
The Dancold is fine anyway.
It's points. It's actually really reasonable for the stats you get, and as a package, it fits nicely within this destruction little area. It's just Dragon Maul. It's too oppressive.
This comes down to what I was saying before. Like, the Dancold, even with the current Dragon Maul, Dancold is fine. Because at best, it's a sidestep from a Gutlord. That's what it is. And if anything, it's easier to kill. It gets to 3 actions, but that's both a boon and a curse, really, because you can't do like a Gutlord will go move, attack, might makes right to get another 3 action off, and before you know it, 2 of your models have just disappeared out of nowhere. A Dancold can't do that. It can use Dragon Maul, sure, but it's not setting that flame.
That was my thought as well. So when I did my monster video a couple of weeks back, that was my thought as well. Then Alex commented on it with his perspective of playing 3 or 4 Dancolds back to back. And he was like, it was deeply unpleasant because Dragon Maul lets them just pick apart your warband without any way of reacting to it. Just piecemeal, pick you apart. Andy, turn on.
I was literally sitting there at the table watching Andy make 2 triples and go, Dragon Maul.
Yeah, but I think what's a dank hold can't brawl with other things in its weight class.
You don't have to. Dragon chaff.
But the dank hold loses.
That's why you're dragging the mid-range, dragging the chaff, you're dragging things you can kill.
Why are you dragging
when
the gutboard is running into your dank hold Troggoth and you are forced to engage it? And suddenly the dank hold falls dead because it can't. It doesn't have the power to kill a gutlord.
So this might be like me being stupid, so feel free to correct this here, right? But everything that you do to counter a dank hold, you are forcing the dank hold into a vacuum, right?
Yes.
The difference between a dank hold and what you're doing is that the dank hold forces you into the vacuum, right? So he pulls you into the ideal scenario that he wants, but you can't do that to him because he can just put shit in your way, right? You can't just force yourself upon him when they can just block you.
Because the dank hold doesn't have unlimited range. It doesn't have unlimited movement.
It doesn't, but the fact that it can move 5-6 inches and then pull 6, like that's a spooky threat range to have when there's like no real counter to it. There's no real counter to it. You can't really counter it.
But it's not 11 though. Remember, it's not 11. It's because it will do a move and then it has to Dragon Maul. So whatever it Dragon Mauls has to be 6 inches from where it ends up, and it doesn't get that attack action after that as well. So all you're doing is Dragon Maul damage. So screening that kind of thing from your big meaty thing is really difficult, especially with its massive base.
Who's taken dank holds? I'm sure. No, I imagine all destruction's taking it. But I'm sure, like, I imagine Gloomspite are taking it fairly often. They've got shit tons of nets, right? So like your big scary thing, I'm going to attack your dank hold. I'm going to throw a net at you, and then you can net the dank hold. It doesn't fucking matter. He's in the middle of the board pulling shit to him. Like, there's less ways of dealing with it.
It's one of these things again that we're talking about.
It's cheap enough, right? It's cheap enough. I don't really give a shit if it dies.
Like I think a player who is kind of playing normally is not a problem, because that player is not gonna use his actions to wait until there's no counterplay. Will not like do it in such a way that there's no response to it, and do like there is a way to do all of this safely, right? There is a way to save your dank hold and then take the scary thing and do 2 rounds of Dragon Maul and then attacks. Because all you need to do is have enough chaff to allow your opponent to go first, and then you just move Dragon Maul attack. That's gonna kill pretty much anything.
I think you're putting way too much. You're giving the Trog, especially with the size of its base and its only movement 5.
It's a mega boss size, right?
Freedom on the table, right? Like,
don't get me wrong. There's ways to play around it, but it depends on what list you've brought. And
so I would rather
because I agreed with you entirely, Itan, before, but then Alex's comment going into one round on round, he's like, "Now this was the most unfun thing ever."
What was he going to?
So it's also the fact that the list that Alex was playing. So first of all, I sat down and I did the numbers, because that's the great thing about strength of schedule is you can sit down and see the strength of schedule at the end. Yeah, he had the worst strength of schedule of every single person by a few points. Like most people on like the top 5 were sitting between like 12 and 14, and he had 18. 18 points. So it was a tough time on a list that was more thematic, to be honest, because he had the carpet drag, right? And it was Slaves.
Yes.
It was a Carca list.
Okay.
So Slaves to Darkness, the toughness 6 really helps, but also it doesn't help when someone can completely sidestep that by Dragon Maul, and it throws your entire game off.
Even if he draw against Hydra double slam. I think he did.
I mean, Alex is a good player.
No,
Um,
he is a good player. Yeah. But I think for one, like, because we're talking about what is possible, what is up there as one of the most efficient pieces that you can bring in the game, right? It's up there with Gutless, it's up there with Vexmore, it's up there with all these things that you wouldn't like. You wouldn't go, you're writing a competitive list. Why are you bringing this? Right? It makes sense why it's there and what it's there for. And then he's a good player, but if he's bringing a Karkadrak, it's not exactly like you're wasting 150 points worth of stats there, basically, right?
4 or
Like,
5. That was 4 or 5 points. I think,
and it was,
you
if
know,
I remember, it was like Karkadrak Chaos Warriors, right, with shields.
Karkadrak, Chaos Warriors with shields, and a Chaos Knight. I did also I will say also, a lot of the terrain just was not conducive.
Yeah, to a
'Cause
Karkadrak that had to walk there.
Oh, it's got mount,
Yeah.
isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it
Ew.
does.
there was
Ew.
two mounted on that list, that
Yeah, I
six
don't
man list.
necessarily
I
think
mean,
that's a Dragon Wall being not Dragon Wall. That's not what we're talking about. A Trolloth being.
yeah, I mean, listen, 2 to 3 monsters back to back.
That also
It's
does
gonna
suck.
be rougher.
We know that they dictate the
Yeah.
game.
So,
That's fair.
I think it was just the combination of all of it.
Well,
So
because
it's
I mean, we should
it's
actually
fair.
get Andy on at one point. Because me and him had a really long conversation about the dank hold and how it performed and what it was performing, and specifically like what it was doing against other, not against, but like versus other like of those big destruction pieces that he would otherwise have brought.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. That's why I think it's a sidestep, because I reckon a Gutlord would have done a lot more damage to a Karkadrak if it was on threes. Threes or fours, with a 5-10 damage profile that doesn't degrade.
Yeah. I do think that Dragon Ball does need fixing. I think
Oh, it
a lot
does.
of the feels bad of all monsters, not just the tank, but all monsters will come way down if there's just something that, if it's just a fucking quad, just make it a quad and just leave it at that, right?
Nah,
Then you'll do it like once, maybe twice a game. Ooh, that's way better than every single turn, practically guaranteed. Not actually guaranteed, but like it's very likely. Unless you roll 6 singles, you can always Dragon Maul.
I actually
yeah, I mean,
love the idea of swapping the current quad and the current triple, so that putting the terrain busting on a triple seems a lot more fun, especially because most of my boards are chock full of terrain. So
Honestly, the fact that UK Games Expo, there was a monster in that massive Colosseum board, right?
Mm.
And at no point did anyone blow the whole thing up, because that was like the entire board getting removed on multiple occasions.
No,
And it never happened.
I would argue. So the thing is that Colosseum is like individual pieces. So I would absolutely just take part of it off. That is the
Yeah.
Colosseum thing is something that I really want to build around, because the board was donated to me by a pal, who had printed it, and it just didn't really work for him. So it is slightly too long. I think it's like 3 inches up,
Yeah.
3 inches tall. I wanna scale it down to 2.5 and try it that way. But that is one of the things that I'm gonna be kind of broaching, is like different terrain makers, because as much as I love the terrain that I've got from GW, I think spicing it up with some extras here and there, I think would be really good, because chat, I know you all love the marble temple that I've got, and I love it too. but you can have too much of a good thing. So yeah, next season we're gonna rotate some sets out and rotate some sets in, and take it from there. But that's part of the reason why I've taken a little bit of step back to work on all the unpainted terrain there. That's a sidestep to the discussion. I think Toast is 100% right. I think having monsters in the game is fun. I think it's a slightly different. It's a slightly different gameplay. It's a slightly different slice of a way to play it, and you have to adjust how you play. And I think it ties into what we were talking about before, about information. Like, I think there are some situations, like playing against a monster, that you can only really know how to deal with it by playing against it. And that's why I also don't like Dragon Maul, because it isn't something, it's a no-go zone that is 6 inches around that monster. There's no way to play around that. You can play around the monster, but you can't play around Dragon Maul, I think. Not easily, and not fun. You can play around the monster in a fun way. But yeah, I think
really hard.
Yeah, it's just it is difficult, and it's very formulaic. And if you the whole thing about WARCRY is that you have options and you have a lot of different ways of approaching something. So yeah, I think I now think more about swapping those to a triple and a quad.
It'd be way more fun. More terrain getting destroyed. It'd be hilarious.
I wasn't particularly a fan of like putting FAQs in the tournaments, but obviously I've been pushed to by the editors. So yeah, no, thanks. But since we've started now, like I think kind of going to the community and asking, putting those questions out and saying, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think it isn't? Like, which way do we want to go? And I'm happy to take feedback, and I'm happy to listen to people's opinions. And the email is warcryuk@gmail.com. So if you have opinions, I'm more than happy to hear them. Feel like that might have either been a good thing or a mistake. I'm gonna get 1,000 emails that are like, we hate the temple, actually.
Temple's
that
terrible.
board is terrible. I set it up in a way that actual cavalry could get on that on the last time. Like I put the two, I put the white set that I have, and I put the two boards, and then I made the bridge in between them with a ramp, so that there was a way to actually get into all parts of it. And I was walking through, and I was seeing Alex play, and I saw like Karkadrak was going one way and the knight was going the other. And I was like, it's exactly what I wanted out of it.
To be fair though, like mounts can climb stairs anyway, like just regular ass stairs. Yeah.
They can walk upstairs. They can't climb walls.
Can't climb walls. They can't climb ladders.
Makes sense, yeah.
Can't climb ladders, but stairs. There's actually a thing where actually mounted things can go upstairs.
Unless you are an Agrodon who can leap.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And also as cavalry can leap, actually, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's a deeply underrated ability, being able to leap 3 inches to avoid everything, because it's a proper fly, but you can move. You move 3 inches with it. So avoiding all terrain for that leap it's caught me out. I've had someone leap on my face before. So it's terrifying.
Can someone explain fighters with a mount remark climb stairs? I'm now imagining a free guild cavalier with a horse going. and just climbing on top of the bell tower and just looking very confused. About as confused as I look right now, imagining that.
I'm going to define all barricades as stairs going forward. Just convince everyone to agree to that, because you define all terrain before the game. Go, that barricade's actually stairs. Trust us, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's one very big step, but the rest of it all collapsed. That's actually a staircase.
It's actually really funny because me and Alex, me and Badger have talked about, actually, when we set up our boards, actually we usually work on the layouts beforehand. So having a printout which is like a color coded top down of the actual board that says these are these bits of terrain, these are these bits of terrain, so that everyone's on the same page.
That'd be really handy, especially if it only covered low terrain and dangerous terrain.
Yeah.
Because I get caught out on stream all the time because I go with the assumption everyone plays terrain the same way because I'm really stupid and don't think ahead. And then people go, that thing there, that's just some bamboo. That's dangerous. I'm like, oh, that tree, the low terrain with the two trees going up.
Yes.
People count those trees as dangerous. I have never played it that way. That blew my mind.
So
but some people do.
Believe it or not, they're not dangerous terrain, but they are impassable terrain because specifically branches are impassable.
Yeah. Trees are unclimbable.
So if your base can't fit through that gap, you have to go around.
Tiny gap.
Yeah.
You can't go, oh, that whole thing slow terrain.
Yep, you can't teleport across that.
If your base is too big, you can't fit through it.
It's one of my favorite things when I
maybe that's the secret to the Dankhold problem. It's just like bushes, but like
trees around them. I love it when I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and then we have a conversation that directly confirms why we need to do that. And also, it wasn't me; it was actually Badger. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I thought everyone was more or less on the same page on that, and I wasn't on the same page on that. So that explains that.
Defining archways and doors as well.
That's
archways are very. Archways are weird because anything could be an archway, and it's one of those things where you've got to go through what counts as an archway, what doesn't count as an archway, and doors can often be missed as well by people, and they could miss a shortcut, or they could, get themselves in a bad situation where they intend to go through a door, and then someone puts a single grot to hold the door shut, and then they can never go through it. It's my favorite thing to do. I stopped a Star Soulmace Paladin with a Shatterer for 4 whole turns.
Good. Yes, I don't think that was me. Was it?
All the way around. It was Jess again. No, I didn't put it in the video though. That's another Jess one. I can't do that one.
Yeah.
But no, I held a door shut from a Star Soulmace Paladin for the whole game.
Locking doors is such like big brain plays, and
it's so stupid though. But that's how you start with Dankhold though. Dankhold, other side of the door, hold it shut. Blocks line of sight, can't drag and maul you.
What was I going to say? Yeah, no, the thing with the doors, like I always, as soon as I sit down at a map, I will look at it. Because I have this problem all the time with my ruined terrain, the ones that you like with the 2 levels. I haven't painted the doors, so those are really difficult to see. And also on the starter set, like the starter set ruins, the only way that you can actually tell if something is a door or not is the doors don't have this strip of like decorative bit of metal at the bottom. And that's such a small detail. I mean, obviously you can see like it's the only bit of metal that has like a handle, but like you can notice it because at the very, very bottom it has like a strip of metal, and then the door doesn't have it, and then the rest of it does. So yeah, it's difficult to see. So every time I'm like door, archway. and that gets everyone on the same page. So
Archways.
heartily
Archways is the
recommend it.
big one because cavalry can't go through archways for reasons. Is it cavalry? I think can't go through archways for reasons unknown. No matter how small the carve is or how
Yep.
big the archway is,
Yeah.
they are terrified of them.
Also,
Yeah.
is it beasts can go through archways, but they can't use door handles?
They
Is that
can't
right?
Yes.
open. Yeah. So
Yeah.
open door. So archways, monsters and mounts cannot move through archways, but monsters, mounts, and beasts can't go through closed doors because some of the doors are like the starter set and
Yeah.
one of the doors in those ruins, the Azurite ruins or whatever they're called, they're closed, so you can't go through those.
Remember, chat. Dire wolves aren't beasts; they can open doors.
They definitely can.
Yep,
They are
juggle.
the cleverest
They are the
of
best
dogs.
boys.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do,
Honestly,
do we
dire
want
wolves
a
are so funny.
segue from this?
Sure.
Maybe.
What were
Sure.
we moving
do.
Okay.
towards?
Well, these rules
Another
would all have been a
smooth
bit
segue.
clearer if someone had written them a little more clearer than.
No, wait, hold up. No, we're not segueing by immediately slagging off the poor man. He's had such a good reception. The videos have been so good. And I
I'm
wouldn't
Is
joking.
this
mind.
Sam's?
Hmm?
This is Sam's video.
Yes, this
I'm
is
I
this is
love
Sam's.
watching all
joking,
this
of
stuff.
course, but yeah.
His Inquisitor video was just it was
very
so
good.
much fun to watch. Loved it.
Yeah. No, it's I thought it was really interesting seeing the design, but like I feel like I think it was our chat. It was one of the chats where we watched the video. It came out, obviously got shared in all of our group chats, and we all watched it, and we went, I knew there was one person working on that fucking compendium. I knew it was just one singular person writing it all out and going, you know what? That's too much. Maybe Corn Demons just get the generic abilities and we don't think about it too much.
They're right at the end.
A lot of things were confirmed in that video. For example, obviously the compendium being bought by one guy, but also that WARCRY was always intended to be a narrative game, and there was the match play competitive was a community built thing that was not intended at any point to be the main way of playing.
Yep.
A thing we've said several times, but often gets like shot down by many, was more or less confirmed to be accurate against all that.
I'm one of those many because I do genuinely think I know that they tried to make it a narrative game. I know that was the original plan, and yet they've somehow managed to make a competitive game that is relatively fair because of the randomness of dice and the fact that, but it's a competitive game that it's not in their regular competitive style. But I still think that it's better. It's doing competitive better than their regular competitive style. And that's why I'm always happy to play competitively. But yes, no, it was interesting to see.
Yeah.
First edition had a narrative kind of focus, and then second edition was rebuilt from the ground up for campaigns, which was very clear because it used to be that you had a very clear path. You had to play you were playing missions, and then you had to play the convergences, which were always designed to kind of put you in the back foot. And while I liked it, because of the randomness of the dice, you can just play convergence and just get dumpstered. And then you have to do it again. And then if you lose it, there's like no alternate way of progressing. Whereas a lot of the second edition campaigns had paths. So
it's like branch missions where different things can happen.
Yeah. So you moved forward regardless of whether you won or lost, which again, like, has a little bit of agency, because you get results regardless of not regardless, but you get results that are tailored to what happened instead of just it being a progression gate where you just have to sit there and do the same thing again and again until you succeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, how well it does all the narrative stuff, I can't tell you. I have played exactly 3 narrative like missions. I've done the Ultra, and all of them, to be honest, are from the last Home of Champions. So I did the Ulfenkarn one, and I think I did we did the Siege, which was terrible. It was a great concept, but like it's so badly balanced. The attackers get a free monster. Why wouldn't you take the
Nice.
Chimera? And as a result, it means you can fly over the barricades and just
Oops.
kill everyone.
Well,
Yep. That sounds terrible. I've played the start of 2 or 3 narratives in real life. One of the few times I get to play in real life that isn't actually at events was early on
play
in
it with. I
Warcry.
thought you had no players in
This-
a vicinity of
was-
30 kilometers.
I literally traveled to Middlesbrough, which is an hour and a half. Yeah. So I went for several months at the start of me playing Warcry because the only players near me, right? So it was a trek. And my God, the speed in which it escalated into insanity was staggering, especially as well when blessings came in. Blessings aren't meant for narrative. If play narrative, do not play with blessings as well. We did for one of them, and from game 1, the power of people's leaders were insane because you'll be blessing with extra damage, extra attacks, and getting like your starting boon was like, I've got another attack. So you've got like 8 attack guys running around, blending through everything, moving again, blending through things. It was like, oh my God, this is so unpleasant. And it just collapsed immediately. And then we never played it again because it was a terrible experience.
So this was my main criticism, let's say, of what they tried to, or what he tried to achieve with Warcry, right? Like, there a lot of emphasis was put on, okay, this is going to be the spiritual successor to things like Mordheim and Necromunda, and those are very crunchy game systems, really crunchy game systems. Not just in the way that you play. There's like 1,000 special rules. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to leap across this chasm, and I'm going to make my strong fingers test to see if I can hold on to the blooming rock.
Yeah, these are like from the 80s and 90s era simulation design as opposed to the modern design.
He does another video about that, right?
Inquisitor,
when he's talking about Inquisitor.
You have groin HP in Inquisitor.
You do have groin HP.
It's so good.
You take battle damage to your groin.
That is,
which has wide-ranging consequences, not just the ones you would think. Mechadendrites, that's what you want. Anyway, right. So they are super crunchy games, and you redesign this game from the ground up. It's accessible, it's fast-paced, it's rules light, and that's all fine. But I feel like he said at one point, yeah, I wanted it to be like these games, but I wasn't happy with how it came out because it wasn't like these games that he enjoyed. Like not Inquisitor, oh, Jesus, Mordheim Necromunda.
Mordheim.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, so yeah, in the first edition, the campaign system was just like a bunch of like missions that you did. Second edition, redesign it. Okay. And I was like, yeah, that's all fine. But this progression system that you're talking about, Toast, is really the crux of the matter for me. Like, why, like, I get it. People see Warcry as this narrative game, but you play more than 2 or 3 linked battles and it all falls apart because of the progression system. And that's really my biggest gripe with how it's designed. Like it works way better. It's just a system for banging out one-shot games, you know? Like rack up, here's a game, let's do it, let's play it.
I think as well when it comes to like you compare it to like Mordheim or classic more simulation style games, like your guys actually like they started off
They're
there
terrible.
was a lot of like lots of points of failure to do anything, right? So
Yeah.
I believe it was like you have to unholster your gun that could you'd see what you want to do, unholster, take aim, fire. Say
Yeah.
cool, you could fail to unholster, fail to aim, and fail to fire. So your guys were really unreliable at doing everything. And the progression was to get more reliable at doing all those things.
Mm.
But in Warcry, it's all on one dice roll. Your
You just
stats
hit.
have been distilled down to the bare minimum, and everything is kind of reliable from the get go. And when you start to stack on powerful, game changing buffs onto
Mm.
already powerful pieces, the
Yeah,
game
no,
can't
you're right.
sustain
The
it.
power level
It
is
can
huge.
barely sustain blessings
Um,
half the time, for God's
it's-
sake.
It's to use some terminology that is relatively kind of with the launch of Battlefield 6 is quite timely. Time to kill, right?
Yes.
When you have two warbands of like 8 to 10 minis, the games are supposed to be like an hour 15.
Yeah.
And More Time and Necromunda games are not supposed to be an hour 15, right?
Ew.
So it's easy to kill. And one of the things I never understood, like it makes sense in terms of like, yes, you get things for winning, but like, why? Because it's one of these things. If someone's winning, that means they're playing well or they were lucky. But what you do is by awarding the winner, what you do is you widen the gap between the two warbands. And the thing is, like, if you play well, you can already kind of get you can know that gap is already quite wide because you can kill your opponent's key pieces. You can snowball quite quickly. So when we did our narrative game, we gave artifacts and I think it was there's lesser artifacts, greater artifacts, and command traits. So we did lesser artifacts and command traits, but we gave them to the losers, because then that makes the games more interesting. Also, the fact that I think there's a +2/+2 like attacks and damage. Why? Like, I cannot think a single a singular miniature that would not become problematic given it that.
Yep.
Give it a Blood Reaver, and suddenly that Blood Reaver is the best at blending. So yeah, I'm surprised. But the rest of it, I feel like the focus was on the experience in between, and in like the story of combat to combat, and I feel like that was very much improved. The clearing and claiming, camps was a very good point, and the fact that the camps had different things they were giving you, not just like points, was also good. I just think that it falls apart on the. I think it falls apart in the start, and I think that's why a lot of narrative campaigns just kind of rein in some of the artifacts, and then the rest of the game works fine. But I'll be trying all of that, and I will be coming back with results, because one of the things I want to do is start a league. So we have our first. As I said before, like I took a little bit of a break, so there hasn't been any monthly games. And the first one, we're restarting them. The first one is in the Merchants Guild on Sunday. Sunday the 2nd of November. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna try more narrative stuff. And I think if we just adjust a few of those frustrating bits, it's a bit like the Dragon Ball thing. You nerf that a little bit, and then the rest of the gameplay can breathe. So
Yeah.
I think for me, when it comes to like I'm gonna say gold standard. I don't play a lot of narrative games, so I can't really say. But I'm gonna say from my perspective, the gold standard for a narrative based thing is to always look at Blood Bowl, because Blood Bowl is super competitive, but it's also built on the idea of a escalating league, right? So as you play, you get money. That money upgrades your team. If you lose, you get less money. This causes an issue, but it doesn't in Blood Bowl, because if your teams are mismatched, if you're against a much better team who invested more money, you get to spend money pre-game on the disparity in teams.
You get petty cash
to buff your guys, to get more medics, to get like a wizard on the battle line to throw a fireball to cheat, to get more better players for one game. So if you're losing and you're doing terribly, you just have more things you can buy for free, essentially, for that one game to make up the difference. And that is, so it allows people who are winning to get all the cool rewards, and the people who are losing to still, on some level, compete. And that is such a cool concept that I think really they've nailed in Blood Bowl. In addition to Blood Bowl, not even pretending to be balanced, right? Like there's like they have like Gamers Workshop tier their teams themselves. You don't need a tier list. It's irrelevant because Gamers Workshop tier them. So it's like, this is a really good, dwarfs are really good. Hobbits are awful and they are terrible. And it's like, this will never change. This is intentional. Have fun. Right? And it's kind of wacky. Yet it still manages to be like a really competitive game with loads of cool narrative elements to it.
UK Games Expo had sold out several. I think it was Blood Bowl that there was several sold out independent events, which was frustrating for getting space. But also, you know what? I'm not yucking their yum. Good for them. Good for them. That and X-Wing. UK Games Expo had.
That's still alive. That's
which
crazy.
It was insane that they had. Not only did they have, they had X-Wing. They had a good number of X-Wing, which was again surprising even to them. Even when I was talking to the event organizers, I was like, "I'm sorry, I must have misheard you." X-Wing, and they went, "Yeah, it's wild." So yeah,
that's crazy.
But yeah, I love that. I love little bits of little bits of balancing, but doing it in a way that's interesting, and because you could very easily just turn around and be like, no, actually, you get half of your toys, your really, expensive toys that you spent all your cash on, come in at turn 2 or turn 3 or whatever, like it's always really easy to nerf, but I always love it when they go down the path of, actually, I love the idea of you can pay a wizard in the audience to just chuck a fireball. But that's that's
you can bribe the ref and everything, so you can like you bribe the ref to keep your chainsaw goblin on the field longer. You can like curb stomp their troll and get away with it because you've bribed the ref in advance. It's great,
it reminds me of Greek football in Athens. Sounds about right.
What you could do, if you're tying it to a narrative campaign, you're tying it to the idea of gaining territory, for example, right? The winner of the game could gain the territory and get all of the benefits narratively, but the loser of the game gets some kind of a physical boost for his games as opposed to a narrative boost. Because ultimately, to win I say event. To win the campaign, you want to win the narrative, and that might be, I don't know, work your way far enough into the jungle that you get to the Temple of Talaxis before all of the other players in this campaign, and you manage to loot the amazing treasure, right? And you're playing games between the other players to try and do that. And if you win your games, you advance, you get more territories, which gives you like the ability to get more territories, and you can go that way. But you're not going to physically get boosts during your for your games. If I go on like a 5-game winning streak, like yeah, I'll be really far ahead in the campaign, but the players who would have lost to me would suddenly go, okay, well, I've got all of this extra stuff, so let's go.
Yeah.
That might be a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that I'm gonna look into.
Yeah,
there is a chat with Badger and see what he thinks.
There is one more thing about Sam's comments that I would like to raise, which people are still arguing. Oh, God, so people are still arguing with me that Age of Sigmar factions were not part of the game from day one.
He said so specifically.
He said so specifically.
He even addressed
the
it
idea is, right,
directly.
So, for those people who don't know how their game design works in Games Workshop, they have a period of what they call R&D, and that could be like random guy says, "Oh, I want to make a game. This is the idea that I have for the game," and then you have to pitch that game to the bosses, and the bosses say, "Yes, go and make that into a proper game," or "No, don't make it into another game," or "Yes, make it into a game, but with these changes." And that's basically what happened with WARCRY, right? It was led by the design team. The design team put forward a whole bunch of cool, like, and wacky warband designs. Jervis Johnson came up with like the idea, and originally it was supposed to be some kind of Colosseum-based game, like Gladiator, basically, is what it was supposed to be, with Chaos Warbands fighting against each other to make Archeon happy, basically. That idea went to Games Workshop management, and they said, you know what, that's a great idea, make it into a game, but we want the rest of the factions to be represented, because it means that everyone has a stake in the game that we're trying to make, not just people who get high on chaos. And that's when the game starts being written, not the original idea. Like, a game can change so much between like the initial idea and concept of the game and what they decide on when they finally shoot the starting pistol, that there's no point in even thinking about what the game was before they started writing the game.
I understand all the people that really like the kind of chaos part of it, and I really do, but like, you still have that. That is still there. Yeah. If you want to play that, if you want to make a narrative campaign, there's just that.
Ruined because you've got all of these other factions and, you know, thematic. Like, oh no, why are you here in the 8 points fighting? Well, there are raids happening in the 8 points all the time by everybody.
It's literally called the 8 points because there's gates to every other
everywhere.
You think
Sigmar ain't sending Stormcast through those gates to try and capture the other side? Of course they are.
I think that where a lot of that comes from, I think, is first edition had a very clear power imbalance between bespokes and compendium. Because
some bespoke specifically, like.
Well, I mean, most of them. I genuinely think on like first edition, the bespokes were a lot weaker versus. So it wasn't just the fact that compendium you could build your team specifically to have all the good toys. You also, like, the bespokes weren't designed as powerful, and one of the things that they did for the second edition was they cranked up the power of some bespokes, and that's why some bespokes are doing really well. But there's others that they kind of left untouched, and you can see them at the bottom of every tier list that you guys do. But I think
not so much anymore, actually. Like, credit to Games Workshop. They put a lot of work in pulling up the power level. some of these
That's
warbands.
true, especially for some of the newer ones. But there are like, I mean,
But
Shadow
Corvus
Stalkers.
Cabal went from being
Yeah.
truly abysmal, apparently, to being actually viable.
Yeah.
And fun as well. So yay, they've put in some work to make some of the
And Shadow Stalkers are great. They
bespokes
just
work.
have one good build. That's all. You
Yeah.
build any other way and they're garbage, but that's got nothing to do with the power level of the bespoke team. Because you can say
No.
that about any Age of Sigmar faction, right? Like, yeah, you pick the 2 or 3 fighters that are really good, and you're going to make a good warband.
I think that Iron Golems is where all of it should be, because Iron Golems, you can take a regular team and you can play it pretty decently, because it gives you really tough fighters. Even if you're playing them, like the level of Iron Golems one box is good, and then it gets better if you add things. Shadow Stalkers is down in the dumps, and then you can make it okay if you only build the crossbow guy.
A little bit.
But yeah, no, I mean, again, I'm not gonna go back on being the one that says you can cover for a lot of sins with good play. But yeah, I think where a lot of that criticism of we used to be all fine with chaos teams in the 8 points, and then pesky compendium team showed up and ruined everything. I think a lot of it is rooted in that kind of people wanting to play their bespokes and maybe not doing well because someone turned up with it
was Machine Gun Skinks, right?
No, it was the Vanguard Hunters, because they had, I think they had like 2 attack, strength 6, 5'10", 20-inch range.
Yeah.
Just put them on a bit of elevation, just shoot everything.
The old Knight Judicars.
Yeah,
honestly, man. I think as well part of it, because I've heard this a few times. I can't pinpoint the name because it was a while back. I've heard it a few times in my time. Is that there was really a missed trick for like a potential future for WARCRY, which was what if they did it more like Necromunda, where there's only 8 factions or whatever, but they expanded upon them. So, well, this WARCRY release is more stuff for the Iron Golems, right? Expanding upon them and having these 8 factions, but they are getting more diverse, they're getting built upon and becoming much more individualistic and more defined as the game goes on. And that's a really interesting, potential future that we were robbed of, because actually, yeah, if they're going for that narrative sort of play, that's exactly what you would do. You would take their most popular narrative game, which is Necromunda currently, and follow in their footsteps. But they didn't do that. And I think some people may have been upset that didn't actually come to pass.
People wanted the game to be Mordheim, but it's not. And it's just the same old argument. People wanted the game to be Mordheim, and it is not Mordheim, and that's kind of...
The thing is, we're going back to, if you like Mordheim, you can play Mordheim. That's fine. It exists, and it's doing quite well, and I salute them for it. I will say, having said that, obviously you can't get the first edition WARCRY warbands directly from GW anymore. However, they are building a 3rd factory.
Yes.
And I wouldn't, the only thing I would say that really kind of heartened me about the Underworlds re-release and, the subsequent 2nd version edition and stuff like that, is that they went, we have new minis, fewer than usual, but new minis, and we're re-releasing all the old ones. So if they have additional capacity, I wouldn't put it past them to just do a re-release and just kind of, that would be an excellent way to bring in like a third edition would be, hey, we're re-releasing the originals. We've adjusted the rules a little bit. We still have the kind of breadth, and what we're doing now, instead of releasing more factions, because we have Compendium, you're getting all the AOS releases, you're getting all the Underworlds releases. It's all great. We're now releasing individual heroes or little groups, and we do 1 or 2 releases a quarter. And then instead of having to buy a box every quarter, you can support Warcry by buying a couple of allies that have like unique and special abilities, and they enable other playstyles. Excellent. That would be that would be like an outlet for the design team to make new minis, but like not overcommit and make ridiculous things, like a ridiculous amount of things that has to sell very quickly, while also continuing to support what was clearly the original thing for it, which is another avenue for people to get into Age of Sigmar, which I don't love and I don't recommend, but it's there.
I think one of the weirdest releases they've ever done, I've just thought of it now when you were talking about allies and releases, right? Like, they've never expanded upon monsters, they've never expanded upon thralls, and they've added one ally ever in the Centurion Marshal, right?
Yes.
Why have they never expanded any of these other things? Like, add more like actual allies. Give Order some thralls, damn it! Like, expand upon those systems, because no one fucking uses them.
I feel like unless they're going to specifically design Warhammer like thralls for Warcry and allies for Warcry specifically, you just wouldn't see them, right? Because I mean, if you look at, we know what Warcry 2 looked like in terms of all of the designs, all of the releases, because we had it and it's complete and it's finished. And we know that they were going down the route specifically of, okay, new quarter rolls around, here's another 2 new warbands and a bunch of stuff. Why they don't do that now, I think is more a question of, okay, let's look at the actual models that are being released for different Grand Alliances, and those are the things that we're adding to Warcry, so that's what we're going to focus on, as opposed to look at a whole bunch of legacy stuff. What could be a thrall? What could be an ally? We're going to add it. Because I feel like if the Centurion Marshal was never released, and it was instead released today, it would be a Slaves to Darkness miniature. It would be like Slaves to Darkness Hero, is what it would be. And it just happened that it was released in this kind of weird midway period between Warcry 1 and Warcry 2. And they were like, okay, well, it's going to be an ally. We've got Denacor. Denacor is doing real things. At that period in time, when Chaos Legionnaires came out, Denacor was like the new hotness, and he was doing everything in Age of Sigmar land.
A lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, well, we've released these guys. We're going to release Centurion Marshal. We don't just want to tie it to these guys. We want everybody to buy a Centurion Marshal. So we're going to make it an ally instead of a Legionnaire. And I think that's kind of where they were going. So unless there's that kind of model, and they do that for Age of Sigmar, which I don't think they would necessarily.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, because it has to. Every release has to have its place into the bigger, wider thing. And while I do understand that means that there needs to be space for that to exist.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
and if anything, I think the Underworld's warbands kind of fit that role, if you get me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what came to mind when we were talking about this. The Underworld's warbands play the role of the ally, or used to, because it used to be that you took the Underworld's warband and you stuck it wherever, and it seems to be different now. It seems to not be under the same rules, at least on our interpretation, I think.
No, it's not. It's how they're written.
Yeah,
with our interpretation, it's what they're written. They're written as unique.
But yeah, like, maybe that means that, well, Underworld warbands not being Bladeborn is, I think, better for the unique factions, but also it leaves space for true allies, because it is one of the things that they seem to be going back and forth on whether allies is something they want or allies is something they don't want. Because poor Night Questor makes 0 sense in most lists except for Questor, but then you lose the battle trait, so you just
I think that's more a case of they wrote the Mac Quest or forgot about the battle trait system that was going to be coming out at some point.
that's true as well. I don't know. It's one of these things.
It could have also been a thing where they had some sort of like unusual foresight. I was like, actually, hang on here, hold on a sec here. We're giving Questor this like really weird potential battle trait buff that is on paper got a lot of people very excited when it first came out. Okay, stacking abilities is very strong on paper. And also we're giving them like the only instance of a bespoke warband getting support ever after release, in the form of Night Questor, who also brings really powerful buff to Questor Soulsworn. Is this too much? Will this break the game? Answer's no, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But maybe they thought it might have, and they're like, we'll chill one step at a time.
Yeah, I can see that. But I will still say, like, I am genuinely hoping that all of this gets. I hope that whatever new capacity they get, they put some of it aside for WARCRY. That would be. It'd be nice to be able to.
You'll want that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to do specific support, so we can actually buy specific WARCRY things, just to show them that there is, there is support and there is appetite. Not to mention, allies are great. New abilities are great.
But does WARCRY not just need a rebranding though? At this point,
I don't think it needs a rebranding. I think it needs cleaning. Right? As in, there's a lot of rules in a lot of disparate places.
Yeah, because you could release third edition WARCRY, but under a different name.
Yeah, it could be. And then I also
get rid of the stigma that could be WARCRY just being like Games Workshop's perpetual failure that we see still occasionally crop up.
I think you still have. I think that anyone who looks at WARCRY and sees a failure,
they want to see a failure. And that's why they see a failure.
Yeah, I think it's likely, because the thing is, at the end of the day, like, it's what you always say about going to a tournament. You have to set your standards for success, and we're not internal GW. We don't know what their standards for success was, but being sensible, standards for success for WARCRY to be selling out when they had no content for a good old time, and then they had way too much content, way too close together, that was way too niche, and then being surprised that it didn't take the world by storm. I think that would be silly, but and also I don't think that there's enough people that think that WARCRY is bad that can't have their minds changed. I think the main thing is there are so many people that don't know about WARCRY, and the reason for that is we get zero coverage.
Yeah,
we got a lot, and it was I was going back when I was writing that Wikipedia article, and I was looking, and there were articles every week, and they were covering different parts of it, but it didn't really seem to get purchased. And I think a lot of that had to do with, like, obviously there were tournament packs, but there weren't a lot of events. I don't understand Underworlds having a golden ticket event, but on WARCRY not having one.
Well, you got to remember, for the first year of the game, they didn't know what kind of game it was.
Yeah.
They expected it to be this narrative game, and it was only until what, and you can see it. There's a shift as soon as Warhammer Fest hits, and they get 55 players turning up to that blooming event, and they're like, "Oh, people want to play this game. What can we do?" But by then it's too late. Like you can't turn the ship after that.
I mean, you can, but it requires a lot of time and effort, and that's the thing. Like, the Warcry events that they do at Warhammer World, consistently great numbers, greater, I would argue, than a lot of the Spearhead and Underworlds events.
Oh yeah,
no shade,
yeah, sure,
but
sure.
The committed Warcry players are a lot more, but that doesn't lead to more Warcry events. We still are getting the 2 or 3 that were allocated a year. And that's what I mean. Like, there was a little bit of a difference in perception from GW, but they're still not 100%, I think, committed to pushing. They did one Meta Watch and then they dropped it, right? And the Meta Watch itself isn't gonna.
There's one Meta Watch video.
Yeah,
but they've been doing articles for the release of the updates. The only problem was there was a year between September 2024 and September 2025.
That's what I mean. Like, it doesn't need to be in the front page all the time, but it does need a little bit more investment than they're currently happy to give it. But
it's weird. That's kind of almost not how Games Workshop works, right? They push whatever's coming out in the next 3 months, and they push it hard, and then something else will come out, and then they'll push that hard. And if you have a game with releases every 3 months, it feels like it's being rammed down your throat, because there will be article upon article like, "Oh yes, here's the new space widget that is coming out, and here are all of the community painters that are painting space widgets," and all this kind
here's
of stuff,
how
right?
it works in lore, and here's some stories about it, and here's this,
But
and
if you
here's
don't
that.
have the product, they're not going to push it, which is a failure of Warhammer community not being about Warhammer community and being about Warhammer sales magazine.
I mean, they know how to do it because they're doing it for Shores, right? So that might be a different.
Chaos Dwarves, but Chaos Dwarves aren't out yet. They're released this week.
No, but the fact that they did mention that there was going to be rules for Warcry and stuff like that, and it's like that's all it requires. It's a reminder whenever there's an AOS release. Just if you're going to have rules, go alongside it, mention it. And
but I feel like they also need to decide on how frequently they're going to put these rules out and how frequently the updates are going to happen.
Yeah.
If it's going to be once every 3 months, once every 6 months, that's fine. I don't care how long it is, as long as it's on some kind of a schedule. Like, if it's going to be yearly, and it's like, okay, fine, it's going to be yearly, but we're going to get every blooming Age of Sigmar release that's come out this year.
Yeah, 100%.
Then sure, that's something to look forward to, and that's something to do. And then that can speed up as there's need for it, right? If it's going to be too much work to put every single 1,000 Age of Sigmar models in there, plus Warhammer Underworlds, plus whatever, then you can split it up and you can do whatever. But that's really down to Games Workshop scheduling and how they want to produce things.
All about communicating intent.
It is. That's it. That's it, right?
I love it when I get to use corporate speak. I
think all Warcry really needs is a new compendium book, which is basically a rule book plus all the new stuff. They don't even need the book; just put it all online. They've got rules for all of these factions, but not all of them are online. Like, all the stuff from this edition is not online. The Warhammer Underworlds Warbands isn't online.
One of the biggest benefits of online only is all the rules are online. Apart from all of second edition is not online anywhere.
Give me
Warcry.
Yeah, give me an evergreen starter set that I can go out and I can buy, or don't give me an evergreen starter set. Give me a terrain box.
Yeah,
because then you could go any two of these warbands, toss that box of terrain, and we're good to go. Yeah. Throw the blooming card the card token set in that terrain box, and you are good to go. Like, that's
all that's required. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't need a lot, does it?
No, it
That's
needs
the whole
mentioning
thing.
every now
What it really needs is a refinement of what the fucking want to do with the scale of Warcry. Because I think, right, if a new edition comes out, I want them to go in and go, right, how can we justify having a slan and a mega boss and a tyrant in a game? Okay. Like one dreams up armies and one commands like realm wide wars. Okay. And on the other hand, you have the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. So the Tyrannic cohort, who are literally Nagash's
Reject.
like rejected failures. And these two things are meant to be like
Equal
in the
power.
same game
Yeah.
and comparable in some ways. Like, no.
It's this theme,
Take
right?
all
It's
those
about
like
theming.
world-ending leaders out of the game and keep it within the scope of these are little war bands. They're not meant to be these catastrophic world-ending things.
You will take my my double mega boss warband from my cold dead hands.
It's like replace them with something,
No.
right? But like you could
No.
literally power up
Absolutely
like
not.
the Ardboy boss, right?
Nope.
Or even you'll still have Morgok,
Never.
or whatever, right? But the actual mega boss and actual slan do not fit the thematic scope of Warcry. Get the fuck out of the game. Be gone.
I
Shoot.
want a mega boss to be tripped by two little skinks for 4 rounds. He rolls 1, 1, 2 for every single attack because I think that humanizes them. And I love it a bit. No, I mean, I know exactly where you're coming from, and like concept-wise, it's nuts. I do love thinking that it's like these little side adventures where it's like so low stakes. It's like one day, Big Boss decided to just go on a walk, and he found these weird bone centaur things, and they somehow kicked his ass. And he came back, and he was very angry for a good few months. And I don't know. I kind of love it. Like it has a lot of problems, but I think it's worth it. I really like it.
To me, these things should be like with monsters potentially, should be constrained to a campaign system, right? So like a
Yeah.
slam is really cool if it was like a one-off thing where you did like a Death Star run with your little band of ejects to kill the slan. That's kind of funky. But like otherwise, why is you there? Get the fuck out of here, man. Go dream
No, for what? It's like
realm.
300, right? Leonidas is walking out one day with his personal honor guard of like 300
elves.
dudes, but in this case, it's Slanamundius walking with.
You like the idea of so this completely kind of threw a little spanner in the works on a narrative system where you have allies and specific creatures like the Butcher, the Slan, the Megaboss. You have tiers, and you can only build with like leaders are on second tier, and then the really good leaders are on third tier, and you get to take one from tier 2. And then depending on games and upgrades and stuff like that, you are allowed to pick one from tier 3 or 2 from tier 2, or just having different tiers to just kind of make
Talk
those
about this before, where it's like shit. Yes. Oh my gosh, we were talking about this as a side thing. No, it was a side thing, right? We were talking about how to balance heroes and how to balance allies, right? And the idea was that you can take up to 3 heroes, but some heroes took up more hero slots than others. So you could say I swear we talked about this. So like a Slan, for example, might take up 3 hero slots. But a Skink Priest might only take up 1 hero slot. So then you have the option during your list building to say, right, I'm going to take the big Giga dude, but he's going to take up my entire hero and ally allowance, so I can't take anything else. Or I can take a bunch of smaller guys, maybe a little brawly guy, a little wizard, or whatever. And that was a possibility of how to balance these big Uber characters if you
Yeah.
still wanted them in game. And I think that's an interesting way of doing it, because what that still allows you to do is, let's say you have a Gut Lord. A Gut Lord is just the unit champion of Iron Guts. In power level and in scale, he's better than like a goblin big boss that's been around for 1,000 years sitting on his Gigasquig of Doom. And he's just a unit champion just because. But you can make it so the goblin big boss on Gigasquig of Doom was only worth like 2 hero slots. Gotlord will be worth 3. And then internally in game, that gives you some kind of a balancing mechanic to these kind of heroes, saying if you're going to bring one of your superheroes, that's absolutely fine. You can play with your toys, but you're only going to take one. And that's
restricts your
it.
options. So yeah, you can play around
I think
that.
we're talking about this. Or it may just be some insane ramblings that I said to myself one night.
I remember having that conversation. Maybe not on Wild Days, but I remember it like just being talked about at some point.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's that's one of the things I love the most about WARCRY is if they are going for another edition, like there's so much. The bones are really good, and all they need is a clear like direction to push it, and you can play around that. You just fix the rune marks. You scrub the roster a little bit. Get rid of the dead weight. Just kind of make a few. And you just kind of move some of the interest around. Do something about chaff. Do something about mid range. Give them a little bit of power. And Bob's your angle.
Refine the shooting in the game. Refine shooting.
I think refine is the right word in general. Like there's a lot of like really good gameplay here, and there's a lot of stuff that just need a little bit of pushing, a little bit of improving, and just kind of finding the sweet spot. Shooting is exactly one of them. Because at the moment,
underdeveloped currently.
Well, on purpose, because first edition it was fully developed, and all that ended up being is kill team. So you were getting shot across the board and just getting deleted. And even second edition, when KO was allowed to have the 3 attacks, ether cannons was getting a bit ridiculous. So it's just kind of figuring out how to play around that, and how to, again, refine, I think is the perfect word. Like what it needs is someone who really understands the game to just sharpen it up a little bit. And I think it will continue to be an excellent option for narrative, and it will continue to work for competitive. So
they need as well, I think, to so another thing to tweak, refine, make it a little bit better is dealing with the horde issue. It's not like an issue because people don't take hordes that much. It's an issue because when they are taken, they're really dominant. Whether that's make a smaller unit like model cap so you can't hit 15, it's like 12 maybe, or they have a way of the kill team way of doing it where you get to have little half step activations, or the WARCRY way of doing it where they get to do like a move or whatever if they haven't activated. There's all kinds of Malifaux's got ways to do it. There's all kinds of ways of tightening the interplay between elite and horde, and WARCRY has none of them. Zero. There's not a single system in place to make that a more interesting matchup, shall we say.
What do you mean?
We see in the meta reports, right? Like if you hit like 14, 15 models, your win rate shoots to like 99%.
Yeah,
right?
But I said this before that those figures are actually misleading.
They are misleading. Also, have you ever lost with 15 models?
No.
That's survivorship bias.
I have never lost with 15 models.
I played an 8-man warband the other month, but I didn't lose with that. That has nothing to do with it.
I think it's still kind of nutty that a 50-point skeleton mechanically has the same number of actions and impact to the game's initiative and progression as a mega boss.
Yep.
Like, they can do the
Yes.
same number of moves, they can do the same number of actions. Obviously, it impacts differently.
Mega
but,
bosses are better.
obviously, but
I mean, I've said this 100 times. Like, hordes aren't a problem. Durable hordes are a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's fine if you look at I want to say spiders because that's what I've done. If you look at a spider, it falls over, and it does. And
It's not even that. It's the fact that it's not fun, right? It's solitaire. It encourages waiting, and waiting is boring as fuck, right?
Yeah.
It takes a 2-player interactive game and puts it into 2 separate instances of each player playing a 1-player game. It's fucking boring. I hate doing it if I'm playing 15 man, and I dislike the feeling of me playing that into someone else because their faces say it all. They fucking hate it.
Right, and question:
miserable.
how many 15-man warbands are actually played?
Not many.
Not many, and I can give you an answer.
But
it's like less than 10 people have brought 15-man warbands.
Still, you can still like the fact that bigger warbands can weight spam and weight sucks. It leads into weight being a shitty action.
Let me put
well.
it this way: if we're talking about reducing, let's say we're reducing the maximum number of models in a warband, right?
Okay.
The actual biggest warband that people bring, you're looking at like 12, maybe 13 men. That's it. Well, no one's going to 15. Realistically speaking, like you can go to 15, sure, but it's got issues in other places. So we're talking 12 to 13. So reducing the cap of models doesn't do anything to that. The real problem is the fact that you're allowed to take 6-man warbands and you're allowed to take 10-man warbands. But mechanically in game, the things that you want to do to win the game is beneficial for you to bring a 10-man warband versus a 6-man warband. So the power level of a 6-man warband has to be ramped up massively in order for you to bridge that gap. Because what you want to do in game, you want to get objectives, you want to get treasure, and then you've got kills. That's the 3 objectives of WARCRY.
That's what I was saying. There's so many systems that could be in place to make it that like the comparison between a 6 and a 10 more equal to a degree.
If you went, say, the WARCRY route, I mean, we're talking about. I mean, either way, we're talking about a complete rebalancing of every single fighter in the game.
True, but like I'm saying, there are ways that WARCRY could implement more systems to actually make this work. You see it in Malifaux, right? You've got the peon system where peons are literally they have 1 action, not 2. Masters or your leaders, they have 3, right? So there's a clear divide where this is a shit unit that's chaff that's meant to die and be a nuisance, but it can't do as much. And I'm not saying put that into WARCRY. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are so many other games that fix this issue on a mechanical level, and WARCRY just put none of that into the game. It's like, nah, man. You got a 3-man warband and a 15-man warband go against each other, and there is nothing mechanically to make this fair or even remotely fun.
Again, but that's the refinement thing, right? Because they used to not have counterplay, so you used to not counterplay, but like there was no interaction between rounds. You did things, and then your opponent did things, and then they brought in reactions, which was widely considered a terrible move and made everyone unhappy. No, that was counter, but like it gave a little bit of interactivity between them. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good point. Like there isn't anything there to differentiate between the very top and the very bottom, and there's like a load of options, and that's what I meant when I said like what it needs is someone that has a very specific vision and can pick one, stick with it, make it work. So
the knowledge, the know-how, and the elbow grease.
Exactly. And hopefully this time will not be just Sam by his lonesome, just one person doing it himself. I mean, it won't be him because he's away. But what I mean is, it's not going to be just one person.
John now.
Yeah, just left to do everything themselves. So, fingers crossed. We are approaching the 2.5 hour mark, and I want to use the last 10 minutes to just kind of catch up and see what the next steps, the near future holds. Because I know that I'm going to WARCRY in the West, down in Bristol next month, whenever this comes out.
Yes,
Yes,
17th.
it's in like 2.5 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish.
Are you both making it?
I hope so. I've got tickets. I've booked a hotel. I have.
I am making Flesh Eater Courts meta. It's happening.
Love that. Love that.
We're doing it.
Oh,
I fucking like.
Oh,
Skaith the Huntsman is like one of my favorite models I've ever had. It's such a cool dynamic little.
Lots of spindly things to break in pops.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Really cool helmet though. I love the helmet.
Yes. They're fantastic. I love the new Centaur models. They're great.
Yeah, it's a good design. So I don't have mine handy, but I'm just doing a paint job on a Deathmaster, because Deathmaster? No, that's Skaven. Deathbringer. No. We're running it back with a list that I have a lot of reps in, because I have 2 opportunities to win something this year, and I'm gonna try my best. But
honestly, I am so tempted to run Ruination technically. My Celestial Dracoline list again for like the next 2 tournaments. I'm so tempted. It was so much fun to play. And I kind of want to do it, but I've bought this stuff now, and Steph will kill us if I don't build and paint and use it. So
I was gonna say use your Sylvaneth now, because I'm bringing probably Sylvaneth in December, and we don't want to turn up in the same outfit.
That's true. Especially when I'll win that mirror match. What?
I don't know.
Technically, Toast is the second most successful player in the UK. So,
really, I've done fairly middling since Warhammer World, from what I can recall.
Wow. Just saying.
You can see why I am fighting for my life in the next 2 months. I need to respond to these allegations.
See, I have no right to be this like cocky when competitively we are on a 50-50 on who's won the most. Like, we've both won 1, so I have no right to be this cocky.
Well, I mean, all 3 of us have won a Warhammer World.
Yes.
I had a lot of long hair doing that. And I got my revenge at Storm in the South with my Paladins.
Who placed higher at the end though? So who really won that one?
I can.
I did.
Yeah. It was a tactical defeat, so I wouldn't have to go against your lane. That was the whole.
Nah, I suffered for that.
Loss.
I suffered for that.
You did. That was a brutal matchup you got, actually.
Oh,
I was very thankful for losing that game.
It was so difficult to get any damage through the Ruination guys, but like the main thing is Griff Crow, literally he punched me. Like, he embarrassed me because he did a move that I should have seen a mile away, and over round 3 and round 4 just took the game by moving a Griff Crow in the right position to block me from getting victory points. And I genuinely have never wanted to pick up a model and eat it, because I thought, if I throw it, that's aggressive, but if I pick it up, maintain eye contact, and just crunch it, I felt that would have been appropriate, but I didn't, because I just took defeat gracefully, and only imagined about eating my opponent's models. But no, Flesh Eater Courts and Sylvaneth, and I'm on Khorne Bloodbound, so it'll be interesting. It'll be good. Are you doing anything special with like the painting or the board that
I'm
we're
going
going
to
for
try and
best
get it
painting?
painted in 2 weeks. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I might.
My stuff's not even fully built yet. I've still got to build those 2 Kernoth hunters and then actually start painting them. So
I will tell you, the Kernoth are a bit of a pain. A bit of it, because they have a lot of like spindly bits. But on the other hand, I am very clumsy. But they have a lot of spindly bits, and when you're putting them together, it's easy to just. But that might, as I said, it might just be me being notoriously clumsy. But yeah,
I'm also clumsy though. This is not reassuring.
I don't know. I didn't break it, but I go very close in a couple of places. So, yeah, I have the time. I hope to maybe do a little display board, because I was at a nearby like store, and they had like little frames that are perfectly sized for warbands. They had them on offer, and I went, yeah, I'll have like 6 of them, and we'll see what warbands these work for. But yeah, it's probably going to have a lot of skulls and a liberal quote of blood for the blood god, because
Of course.
but yeah, and
as much blood as my Zondara zombies.
No, no, because you know what, and that's a failure on my part, because I've always said the thing that I appreciate the most is people who do their paint job and then they flood it, because it shows that you just care more about the theme than like getting recognition for your work. And I have spent a lot of time on my coordinates, and I was always like, and I'm not gonna care, I'm just gonna flood them, and if you can see how good the paint job is underneath, great. If not, don't
If you
care.
can see how good the paint job is underneath, then you've done a bad job with the flooding.
Well, yeah, I see your point. But yeah, at this point, I'm like, no, I'm going to be very, very, very deliberate with the blood, because I like what I've done. I like him a lot. So we'll see.
I think if one of us 3 wins Warcry in the West, which might not happen, but if one of us wins, I think that person should play Corn Demons in the next event they go to, with the attempt to then win with that, the true challenge.
Laura?
Like,
I have a very large Corn Demon army, so I probably could.
Can we pick something equally bad, but maybe not as boring?
There isn't anything equally bad anymore.
There's nothing equally as bad.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's very true. Oh well. Anyways, hey, if you have made it all the way to the end of that 2.5-hour ramble, thank you very much for watching or listening. You will be able to find this on YouTube on War Games on Toast, and on Spotify on War Games on Toast again. Or have you called this something else?
Is it Wild Dice?
Is it something? Yes,
I think so. Yeah,
under Wild Dice on Spotify. But yeah, no, thank you for sticking with us. Put down in the comments if you have any feedback or any responses to any of the stuff that we've been talking about. If you want to talk to us about, recent tournaments you've been, or mission packs you like, your thoughts on narrative events to get more people in, or your experiences with kind of trying to get new people into the hobby, your thoughts on the Dankhold, and your thoughts on, the different things in the game that everyone thinks are insurmountable until they play it a few times and realize it's not as difficult to deal with as they thought. Yeah, put all of that in the comments down below.
Before we leave, I'm just going to quickly jump in for a second.
Yes.
Am I crazy? There was definitely a whole Warcry Discord, brief moment where everyone was losing their minds over the Deathbringer. Yes. I didn't hallucinate that, right?
That happened.
Yes, that happened.
I feel like I'm being gaslit now by the Discord. This never happened. Everyone knew it was
No,
fine.
everyone was saying that Deathbringer
everyone was
responders-
losing their minds. Am I going crazy?
And there were like
Did you
5
lose
people
your
saying,
mind
"No,
over
you're
Deathbringer
overreacting."
chat?
I distinctly remember us being in Discord because you were playing a game and I joined in, and I distinctly remember a bunch of other players being in and telling us how much they were thinking that Deathbringer was. They might be saying that they thought that it was bad for the game, but not broken, but like a negative play experience. But like there were several articles. Like Yolaine did an article on it with all the numbers, and I think Aitan, you did an article on it.
I never did one. Toast, did you do one?
I thought you talked about it at some point.
We may have.
We totally
talked about it.
I certainly made my opinions very, very clear, and I think Baz Optimal Game State also crunched the numbers on the video, so that wouldn't have been there if there wasn't a lot of people being very concerned about it. So, yeah.
I'm glad I'm not going crazy. I interrupted your spiel. I'm sorry. I got reminded of this potential hallucination.
I want to make it clear. I'm not making any comments on your on you going crazy. I mean, we're all crazy here.
That's true.
That doesn't stop us. But yeah, no. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping us company and allowing us to keep you company. I've been Lord Phylax from WARCRY UK. I love doing that.
Every time.
Do you wanna? No, you're the one whose channel we're on. You go last.
I'm on the end. Of course, I go last.
Aitan?
I am Aitan, off Meta Musings. From Off Meta Musings. The end.
Fair enough.
I'm Toast from War Games on Toast. You're already here, but if you haven't done, hit the subscribe on mine first. And then
we,
go there.
We might not be here because collaborations work now.
Yes, very collaborations.
Yes.
I don't know how it works, but it's a thing now, and it should be up as well.
It should be. It's somewhere.
I don't pretend to understand how any of this works.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm with you on that. But yeah, go to our separate channels and look at all of our lovely videos. Don't look at mine too hard because I haven't released anything in a while. But there's interviews coming because I've had a rest where I still organize the bunch of stuff. So I'm really bad at resting, but I feel better and more prepared. So yeah. Thanks for watching. And ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
That's my word. You stole my word.
Stealing your